How you doing? This is Sean McVeigh, Sean's Outdoor Adventures. In this video, I want to talk about some of the different versions of broadheads by Rexpid broadheads. So I have 2 fixed blade on this side, 3 expandable on this side. I want to talk about the differences of them and when you would use one over another. So let me go ahead and set these down, zoom in on them, and I'll talk you through it. Okay, so starting on this side here, we have the Rexpid Big 3. This is a fixed blade broadhead that has a unique rotating, so I'm spinning the arrow but the blades are staying in the same place. This helps with penetration because the arrow spins in flight because of a helical curve usually on the fletching of the arrow, and then when it hits the animal, the arrow wants to continue to spin, and that can absorb some of the momentum of the arrow. But having this kind of technology allows the arrow to continue to spin while the blades go straight through the animal, so it helps a little bit with penetration. This is the Nuri. This is my personal favorite because I like a fixed blade broadhead with a razor blade all the way to the tip. So I do like this style of broadhead. It also has a unique double bleeder blade on each side. So rather than just having one bleeder blade on each side, you're getting an additional cut with an extra bleeder blade, and they spin. So that kind of helps. They don't get hung up as easily due to like friction on a bone or something. It helps to spin right past. And so there's a little bit of a help with penetration in that. So that's a unique broadhead there. Again, fixed blade broadheads, they are generally, they give you a little bit better penetration because there's less friction involved than with a mechanical like over here, which I'll talk about in a minute. So you would want to use like this, especially the Nuri would be my recommendation for low poundage compound or even recurve bows. And then second place would be the Big 3 as far as penetration for a low poundage bow. And then fixed blade broadheads, these tend to have a little more friction involved with the penetration process, and so you need a little bit higher poundage for those. Now, why would somebody use a expandable broadhead? Well, if you don't have good tuning on your bow, you're probably not going to get the best flight with fixed blade, because this is like putting wings on the front of the arrow, and that competes with the fletching wings in the back of the arrow back here. And so you really need to have a real properly tuned bow to get fixed blade broadheads to fly correctly. It doesn't matter what the brand is for a broadhead. You need the bow to be really well tuned. Now with a expandable broadhead, you can get away with a little bit more because there's not as much wind drag from the broadhead itself compared to a fixed blade. Now, the reason why you need a little bit more draw weight is because the process of pushing this through the animal is a little different. So this is the RXS right here, this broadhead. And the way this one deploys is when the tip of the arrow hits the target, it allows the blades to open up. Okay, and so then they'll go through the animal, and they'll stay in the open position. If it hits the ground or something, it's possible for a blade to get closed up, or if it stays in the animal, it can continue to jostle around and do some cutting. But if you went to pull the arrow out, it could close that and lock it back in place. And so this would even be something you could use like for a crossbow typically, because there's a little rubber O-ring that could get slid off in the shooting process. Now this is the RXS, and this is the Rexpid 3, another 3-blade expandable broadhead, but it's different. So it doesn't deploy by the tip hitting. It simply has spring-loaded blades. I'm going to try to do this carefully. So when it goes into and through the target, the blades are going to open up, but as soon as it gets through, it's going to want to close again, just like that. So the Rexpid 3 and the Rexpid 2, which is a 2-blade broadhead, both use that kind of technology. So when it goes through the animal, it's going to want to open up like this, and then once it's through the animal, it's going to want to close. So it has this technology that wants it in the closed position until it hits something, and then once it goes through, it wants to go back. So that's another type of design you could also use, not just on a compound, but most likely on a crossbow. I haven't tested that out yet. I'm planning to, but I'm pretty confident that these 3 broadheads will work for even a crossbow. So that's a look at the Rexpid lineup that I currently have in possession, and it gives you a little sense of when you would maybe use one over another, and also how each of these broadheads work in the shooting process and the opening process. Again, it takes a little more force to push that through to do all that work, whereas the fixed blade broadheads are already in position for the cutting, and so it takes a little less force to put a fixed blade broadhead through anything that you're hunting. So I hope that helps, and I hope you'll stay tuned for future videos. Until then, take care and God bless.